Land, domestic air, and domestic sea travel to and from Metro Manila.
The Philippines is extending its lockdown in some areas. They are Metro Manila.
Now, President Rodrigo Duterte has approved the extension of the enhanced community quarantine in Luzon to April 30.
It is almost a cliche now to say that the COVID-19 pandemic has taken the world by surprise. For the first time, as individuals, we literally share and echo the same sentiments as the rest of humanity, and that we are all aspiring for one and the same thing. That is, to put an end to the sufferings of countless people who had been and are still experiencing either sudden losses or slow deaths due to the direct implication of poverty as affected by the virus.
And the Philippines has become the first country to close its financial markets in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The unprecedented move is to ensure the safety of traders. And the Philippine Stock Exchange is closed until further notice, while currency...
This is, in fact, a difficult time. And while we can say that nobody is immune to the virus and its after effects, the sufferings are not equal and the same for everyone. For instance, some industries took the full blow of the pandemic, such as the tourism, hotelier, and events industries, to name only a few. Businesses, especially the vulnerable small and medium enterprises or SMEs, have been closing down or re-strategizing and reshaping their models. However, while architecture and construction services halted fully, being categorized as non-essential during the peak of the community quarantine period, I think that we, who belong to this industry, are adversely affected in manifold ways, but are considerably still in a safer place compared to other hard-hit trades by the pandemic, and that we can, with the right attitude and approach, emerge tall and strong and well adapted to this new normal. We are JAAL Builders. We design and build our clients' dream homes. Our small business of 6 office staff and 2 site admin, with the rest being contractual workers deployed to our construction sites, was not spared from the pandemic's financial blows, although we are grateful and proud that at this point, our preventive measures have been proven effective so far, such that none has contracted the virus and hopefully none ever will. Though with difficulties, we remain in operation and are working hard towards bouncing back in all practical aspects of the business. In retrospect, 11th of March, almost 9 months ago, was the last day I held class at the College of Architecture and Fine Arts at the MSEUF. My last face-to-face class was with our then first-year Section C students. President Rodrigo Duterte was about to deliver his first formal address to the nation that evening in regards to the then rising cases of the novel coronavirus in the country, with an imminent lockdown before us. I was asked by my family to rush back home to Manila, 3 hours away from the university, to avoid being held up in the roads. But I was as calm as I could ever be, believing that homeward travelers will not be held stranded anyway.
Land, domestic air, and domestic sea travel to and from Metro Manila shall be suspended beginning 2020, March 15, 2020, and to end on April 14.
On my way back home, though, we drove past SM San Pablo, to where I finally succumbed to the national panic buying event that was happening at that time. This is a first of the many things that I did not imagine myself participating in, at least not in the immediate future.
What unfolded in the subsequent days were scenes of disbelief, anger, fear, frustration, acceptance, and hope, all rolling ever so quickly, one event, one emotion after the other, and then the cycle repeated itself for a while. But then that fateful day, 17th of March, was a day that might not be erased from my memory for at least a long time.
To make sure that all workers were given enough means to go back home to their provinces, to properly close off our project sites, to protect the materials that had to be left behind from being exhausted by extreme weather or by intruders within an indefinite period of time. It was like being forced to say goodbye to the normal and facing the inevitable uncertainty of what was to come. So moving forward, I wish to highlight these essential points from our experiences as a design and construction business during the pandemic, the realizations that unfolded, and the decisions that had to be made to cope with the new requirements in our field of practice, not just to survive, but to grow into and despite of this crisis. Firstly, a willingness to embrace changes in all its forms, because we know that the only real constant in this life is change, and that our flexible, open, and positive attitude towards it is the key to any form of success. The new changes in our office setup, whereby we can no longer communicate with each other personally at all times, where we need to maintain a safe social distance while conversing about designs, schedules, and whatnots, where our hands are constantly full and busy, disinfecting them with alcohol every few minutes, where we can no longer recognize each other's faces from a distance because it is covered with masks and shields, where we can no longer enjoy long, relaxing, and productive conversations over coffee with our clients and peers, where Zoom and Meet are the words of the year, where site personal protective equipment or PPEs are finally a requirement being met religiously, where posters about hand washing, mask wearing, and alcohol rubbing are posted just about anywhere and everywhere, naming only a few of the changes that had to be embraced. Secondly, that our people are our first resource. A crisis like this is also a time to look after each other in the sincerest possible way. No single staff, however permanent or contractual, was left behind. Financial resources had to be managed properly to ensure supplication to all staff throughout the quarantine period, where there was in fact zero economic activity. It is a matter of perspective, and every single day, we make a conscious effort to see things from a glass half full point of view. We tell ourselves that our number one priority is to literally keep ourselves healthy, safe, and alive, so that when the virus is gone, or when we finally get immunized to it, no matter how bad the financial situation of the business is, we have ourselves, our first resource, to work hard and harder to regain what was lost and to be better than before. Thoughtful and quality design works are timeless and are appreciated by our clients. To be frank, and I think most practicing architects here would agree, that several of our clients, if not all, are primarily concerned foremost with price, where the famous dictum less is more applies, meaning the least budget for better quality of work. During the pandemic though, for the first time, we heard clients appreciate the completed projects, not just because of the quality of the finishes or the timely delivery, but because of how functional and sensible and thoughtful the planning of the spaces were. During a pandemic, the then underappreciated spaces, such as a foyer, where you leave your outside shoes and raincoats behind as you enter the house. A separate service entrance for the direct entry of grocery items to the service area for washing. A climate-changing, daylight-giving, ventilation-inducing courtyard space. Pocket gardens for the planting of herbs and spices for cooking. Lawns for running around, exercising, meditation, and wellness. Balcony, terraces, and decks for a view out. Well-placed and oriented door and window openings that allow adequate amounts of daylight and breeze. That these are the things that truly matter. Often, when we deliver a project, our clients criticize the way the tiles are laid or the way the wall plastering are not even or leveled. They get to appreciate the thick aluminum window sections we picked out and installed for them. They admire the huge kitchen sink and the cove light that shines on their countertops. Personally, though, I think that these are the tiny little superficial things that will in fact, fade and deteriorate in time. But hopefully, the time will come when our real work as architects will be appreciated by our clients, not just during a pandemic, and not just because they are pretty, but because they are well thought, well planned, functional, and are contributing positively to the quality of their lives on a daily basis.
I really think that now more than ever, we have a real good chance as designers to show the world how good design can positively impact and contribute to a person's well-being.
And finally, our innate character and values, which we built through the years, dictate how well we turn out during this time of crisis. And hopefully, we have what it takes within us to go through, surpass, and be better people amidst this rough time. I constantly remind myself, however difficult, to remain committed to my duty of care as an architect, to ensure that the quality of work is never compromised, despite the pressure being imposed on us, designers and builders, during this trying time. And at this, I encourage everyone as well to remain faithful and committed to this honorable profession and service that is architecture. Thank you.